Bob Dylan hid her name for 60 years. Only now, at 83, is he talking. He met her 1963. His most renowned songs are about her. He changed when she departed. Even his best pals didn't know. Dylan's shocking confession explains everything. The motorbike crash, born-again phase, and why he disappeared at his peak. Bob Dylan was born Robert Allen Zimmerman in Duluth, Minnesota, on May 24, 1941. The little Jewish community included his parents, Abram and Beatrice. Polio struck Bob's father, aged 6. His family went to Hibbing, a frigid mining town where his mother grew up. Iron workers and harsh winters made it tough. Bob's early thoughts were influenced by the cold, stillness, and Duluth foghorns. The shy asthmatic child was often immersed in his own world. His songs reflected his family's history and hardship in Ukraine and Lithuania. Things changed when Bob heard rock and roll on the radio. Elvis Presley and Hank Williams were his discovery at 10. Music hit him hard. He said Hank's voice shocked him. That feeling led him to play by ear at his family's piano. His talent was natural. Sheet music wasn't needed. He listened and played. Strange but powerful chords caught people's attention. Since his family owned movie theaters, Bob saw many music performances on film. He started playing guitar and formed bands at 14. His love of Little Richard was fueled by his songs, flamboyant clothes, and theatrical persona. Bob wanted to resemble him. Bob was a music lover by high school. He formed the Golden Chords, a loud, quick rock and roll band. The principal reportedly shut off the microphone during a school talent show due to their volume. Even though several bandmates argued it didn't happen that way, Dylan immortalized that moment. Still, Bob's loud, defiant energy was felt. His high school yearbook stated his desire to join Little Richard. He wasn't kidding. Even then, Bob had a weird habit. About himself, he lied. He told classmates he was a New Mexico orphan. He liked making up stories, even though they were false. In 1959, he went to Minneapolis and lied more. He told several lies. In one interview, he joked about losing his true love and becoming drunk, working as a Chinaman and acquiring TB. It was gibberish, but part of his performance. He even posed as Elston Gunn. Bob was creating a character while playing music. He saw singers and wrestlers do it. He knew that performers needed a tale, even a fake one. Bob attended the University of Minnesota that year. School didn't interest him. He moved into a modest flat above a drugstore in Dinkytown, surrounded by students, poets, and political outcasts. He discovered what he needed there. He performed at local coffee shops for $2 a night, occasionally getting fired for asking for more. In one of those little settings, he presented himself as Bob Dylan. Who knows where the name comes from? Dylan Thomas may have influenced it. Others believe it was from a TV cowboy. Regardless, the moniker stuck. Bob received Woody Guthrie's autobiography, Bound for Glory, in Dinkytown. That book altered everything. Bob switched from electric to acoustic. He wrote folk and protest songs instead of rock and roll. His college career ended in 1960. He moved out of Minnesota permanently. In January 1961, 19-year-old Bob Dylan stepped off a bus in New York City with a guitar, bag, and dream. He drove over 24 hours from Minnesota in severe winter weather for one reason: meeting Woody Guthrie was his goal. Dylan's hero was Guthrie since he read Bound for Glory, about a young man seeking music and significance. Guthrie was dying from Huntington's illness at a New Jersey psychiatric facility. Dylan traveled nonetheless. Despite the silent hospital room, he sang for the man who influenced his music vision. Guthrie, scarcely able to talk, gave Dylan a note saying, "I ain't dead yet." That moment stayed. Dylan penned Song to Woody at Home. He only has 2 original songs on his first album. He wrote it using Guthrie's song from 1913 Massacre because folk singers did. Things were passed on. A few months later, Dylan got his first shot. John Hammond of Columbia Records noticed something special in him. Dylan was considered a mistake by most label employees, known as Hammond's foolishness. Hammond had found stars before. Billie Holiday, Aretha Franklin, and he wouldn't back down. He signed Dylan to Columbia in October 1961. Dylan didn't need a lawyer. His words, "I would have signed anything." Fast, affordable recording sessions lasted 3 afternoons for $402. But it was hard. Dylan was uncontrollable, popped every P, screamed every S, and detested second takes. He informed them he couldn't sing the same song twice. His stubbornness hurt his first album, which barely sold 5,000 copies its first year. Hammond was right. Those 5,000 copies were merely the start. Dylan met someone who changed everything about the same time. Hi, Suze sent. She was clever, gorgeous, young, and political. Her parents were communists. She was raised on protest and activism. Dylan was immediately taken to her vitality, and they moved in together by early 1962. Suze broadened his world. She taught him poetry, foreign films, avant-garde theater, and politics. She helped him see beyond music. He saw meaning. That influenced songs like Masters of War and The Death of Emmett Till. His most famous photograph, them strolling arm in arm on Bob Dylan's Freewheel cover, did too. Outside, they appeared like any young couple in love, but inside, pressure was mounting. Dylan's prominence grew, their personalities clashed. In 1964, it ended. Love shaped his voice, but the storm it created defeated it. The village of Greenwich Village remained. It dominated folk music. Every night coffee shops rang with guitars and voices. Dylan performed at Gerda's Folk City, Café Wah, The Bitter End, and other important venues. Life was hard. Tiny freezing lodgings, cheap food, borrowed sweaters, but magical. At every door on McDougal Street, you could hear the future. Performers observed, learnt, competed, and cooperated. Dylan became faster, sharper, and courageous under pressure. He also became stranger. Dylan created his own legend. He told outrageous, inaccurate stories in interviews. He once told Playboy that he started singing rock and roll after losing his true love, playing cards, becoming a Phoenix Chinaman, and waking up at a pool hall. He claimed to have lived with a 13-year-old girl and modeled for Charles Atlas. Dylan told the interviewer that's how he got TB, not rock music. Nothing was genuine, but it all sounded perfect. Robert Zimmerman from Minnesota wasn't his goal. Whatever Bob Dylan was, he wanted to be him. He made it up as he went. Though his stories got crazier, his tunes got sharper. He wrote The Death of Emmett Till in 1962. In the following year, The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll shocked listeners with its quiet, harsh realism. A rich white man killed black woman Patty and received 6 months. Dylan didn't only blame. His tale was complete. People, system, quiet. It went beyond protest. It was poetry. By summer 1963, the world noticed. Dylan performed at the Newport Folk Festival, folk music's biggest stage. His age was 22. However, the crowd already knew his name. He performed alongside Joan Baez, Pete Seeger, and the Freedom Singers in a faded army shirt, singing in the wind. Next was We Shall Overcome. Crowds sensed it. Billboard magazine termed it the festival's most powerful moment. All could see. Dylan no longer fit in. He led. His association with Joan Baez helped him rise. Although she was famous when they met, she believed in him, brought him on stage, sang his songs, and helped him climb. By 1963, they were stage and off-stage mates. They sang at the March on Washington before Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. Fame is costly. Dylan took Baez on his 1965 UK tour, but didn't let her play. She felt abandoned and heartbroken. His marriage ended months later when he married again. Diamonds and Rust were Baez's suffering songs. The times are a-changing. The title alone communicated. It addressed a shocked nation in 1964. After JFK's death, civil rights protests spread and Vietnam War loomed. Dylan knows his stuff. His writing was anthem-like. "Senators and congressmen, please answer." A pal asked, "What's this shit?" Dylan shrugged. People want to hear it. It works. The song crossed generations and oceans. It reached ninth in Britain. Timeless, say critics. The lyrics gained new meaning for each age. Dylan changed again that year, from the inside out. He read Rambo on LSD. His songs become weird. Pointing fingers was no longer his goal. He wished to paint pictures with words. A rambling song, Chimes of Freedom, was written during a road trip in early 1964. Just flowed. Over one night in June, he recorded 14 songs in 3 hours while drinking wine. Bob Dylan showed a new aspect, signaling the end of his protest era. What followed changed rock forever. Bob Dylan revolutionized music in 1965. Not just another folk CD, bringing it all back home. The first half was explosive with electric guitars, percussion, and a full band. After a few seconds of underground homesick blues, you knew something had changed. Folkies were bewildered. He sang with an acoustic guitar and harmonica. Dylan was tearing into electric rock, but he knew what he was doing. The second half of the record was acoustic, but the lyrics were darker, sharper, stranger. It was like he showed two sides of himself. Foot in the past, other racing into the future. Baby Blue, the last song is over. Was like saying goodbye to a sweetheart and possibly the folk scene that had held him back. Like a Rolling Stone followed, 6 minutes long. Unheard of for a single. Records executives despised it. Radio stations refused to play it. It was too long and raw. But something odd happened. One night, a New York club played a copy of the song. Audience lost. They begged the DJ to play it often till the record was worn out. Radio stations demanded copies the next morning. People didn't mind that DJs had to turn the vinyl halfway through to finish it. Punchy lyrics. Behind Dylan's voice, the organ groaned endlessly, in a pleasant manner. Paul McCartney claimed it sounded endless. Frank Zappa joked he wanted to abandon music after hearing it. It was powerful. Dylan performed at Newport Folk Festival days later. He donned boots, black leather, and attitude. He was expected to play some calm tunes. Instead, he connected. The crowd exploded when he ripped into Maggie's farm with electric guitar and organ. Some cheered, others booed. People wept. Pete Seeger allegedly shouted he wanted to slash the electrical connections. Dylan's explosive performance in front of puzzled and irate folk fans became folklore. He left the stage after 3 songs. He then returned alone and played 2 acoustic songs to quell the storm. However, the damage or evolution was done. Another 37 years passed before he returned to Newport. The eerie organ that rolled like a stone almost didn't happen. Al Kooper, a 21-year-old guitarist, only watched the recording. After the producer left, Cooper quietly moved behind the organ, which he couldn't play. Happily, it was already on. He only performed when he knew the chords and stayed quiet when not. That hesitation gave the notes a strange, wonderful delay. The producer giggled when he saw Cooper at the organ. Dylan loved what he heard and urged them to boost the organ. Final version included Cooper's role. Suddenly, an accidental organ line became famous. Manchester, England, saw the most dramatic moment in 1966. Dylan split each tour show in 2. Acoustics first, electrics latter. Folk enthusiasts liked the opening half. The second followed. Dylan explored electric music with his band. One crowd member shouted Judas after one. Very cruel, a full-blown charge. Dylan didn't flinch. Leaning into the mic, he replied, "Not believing you. You lie." He told the band to play it loud, and they did. A Rolling Stone thundered through the hall. No one forgot that night. For decades, people tried to identify the insulter. Two men claimed it, but no one knew for sure. Dylan secretly married that year. He married Sarah Lones under a Long Island oak tree during a tour break. Most of his buddies didn't know it was private. Dylan wanted their time alone because Sarah was pregnant. When questioned, he denied it. The story broke months later in a newspaper. Their connection was complex. Sarah was a secretary and model. Dylan was still with Joan Baez and Suze Rotolo when she met him. Despite his first deception, he married Sarah. Dylan was also working on Blonde on Blonde, a double album that became one of his greatest works. He wanted a thin, wild Mercury sound. New York sessions flopped. He headed to Nashville. He spent a few hectic days recording most of the album with excellent session musicians. Coffee, adrenaline, and possibly more kept them going late. Dylan started playing a drunken marching band-like melody. The producer joked it sounded like the Salvation Army. Dylan requested one, which they got. Thus was born Rainy Day Women, number 12 and 35, the album opener. All this success cost something. Cruel 1966 World Tour. Dylan played alone first, then with his band for the electrified act every night. Every night bands booed, kissed, and left. City after city, the scene repeated. Acoustic cheers, electric fury. He was tired. Later, Robbie Robertson stated Dylan appeared broken. He nearly drowned in a motel bathtub one night. Dylan was drugged and exhausted. He rarely spoke on stage after the London finale. The crash followed. Dylan crashed his motorcycle in Woodstock on July 29, 1966. The details are unclear.